After one injury, the authorities are stopping Novavax's flu and COVID combination vaccine. Yet, no one will even think of stopping the COVID-19 vaccines altogether. This despite the fact that there are literally thousands, possibly millions of COVID vaccine injured persons in the United States.
There's 25% of Americans who believe that they know somebody who was killed by a COVID vaccine.
Killed?
Killed. 25% of Americans, 52% of Americans believe that the vaccines are causing injuries, including death. 52%. Oh, if you look at the clinical trial studies, the actual studies that were done that were released of the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna has not released it. If you look at the Pfizer vaccine, there were 22,000 people in the placebo group, 22,000 people who got the actual vaccine. And the people who got the vaccine had a 23% higher death rate from all causes at the end of that study.
Now, in fact, as the chart illustrates, there's been an explosion of people aged 0 to 24 who have died in the United States of myocarditis. To be clear, myocarditis is a real problem for the elderly. Before the year that vaccine mandates for COVID went into effect, myocarditis killing young people in the United States was rare. Here's our friend, Dr. Peter McCullough, outlining the extent of vaccine-related injuries from a year ago.
The general understanding is roughly 15% of people are injured with the COVID-19 vaccines. That is a substantial proportion. The understanding is about 2.5% sustain heart damage or heart injury. These are substantial percentages of which we can understand the determinants. There's a lead, and it's coming through pharmaceutical industry experts, and one of the leads is that not every vial of the vaccine is the same. And it's now understood that 80% of the deaths with Pfizer occur from 30% of the lots, 80% of the deaths with Moderna come from 20% of the lots. So we know on the biopharmaceutical side that those lots are proxies for either more or less concentration of genetic material, probably more, of contaminants, other problems with quality impurity. So that's a big focus on this.
Experts like Dr. Peter McCullough are not the only professionals who have been sounding the alarm about vaccine injuries, but nothing from the federal government. In fact, the government, as most of you know, proudly forced employers to get their employees vaccinated. Remember this? Back in 2021, President Joe Biden announced that, quote, the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated or show a negative test at least once a week. He continued by excoriating those of us who were vaccine skeptical, saying, quote, many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who still are not vaccinated, even though the vaccine is safe, effective, and free. As if having the President of the United States tell you to take the vaccine or else, and that it was totally safe. Biden concluded by reiterating this about the vaccine, saying, quote, I want to emphasize that the vaccines provide very strong protection from severe illness from COVID-19. So, nothing to see here, folks. Take your jab, fall in line, you useless cog of the deep state's will. But the numbers don't lie. Here's a chart depicting all the reported vaccine-related injuries that's so easy to read, even brain-dead Biden can understand it. As you can see, vaccine-related injuries are through the roof, and they're probably being underreported even now. And yet, absolutely no action has been taken by authorities to remove these obviously poisonous products from the shelves. But there's much being done to stop the Novavax vaccine because one single person reported nerve damage after having received it. This almost makes you wonder if maybe Novavax simply didn't bribe the FDA enough money to keep their drug approved. Joining us now is none other than the Dr. Peter McCullough. He's the author of The Courage to Face COVID-19, Preventing Hospitalization and Death while battling the biopharmaceutical complex. And he's going to walk us through what's going on with the so-called vaccines. Dr. McCullough, it's good to see you. Look, I find it very interesting, and I saw this, I saw this in some of your reporting about the FDA stopping Novavax's flu and COVID combo vaccine over one report of nerve damage. I mean, that almost makes you laugh, doesn't it? Considering the data that VAERS has of people injured from COVID and deaths from the COVID jabs. Why so concerned now? Why so cautious all of a sudden?
The irony here is that Novavax was always the safest vaccine. It's not a genetic vaccine like Pfizer, Moderna, or Janssen. It's just 5 micrograms of the purified spike protein for COVID. And even though Janssen was ready to go with their vaccine in 2021, they were fully delayed till 2022. The CDC and FDA never mentioned Novavax. Employers never mentioned Novavax as an option for their employees. It gets no press whatsoever and no agency promotion. You don't see any Novavax commercials. And now Novavax, which is a small US company, has 1 case of motor neuropathy in someone receiving the combination Novavax influenza product. And so the clinical trial is halted. So what I did with another researcher, Jessica Rose, we checked the VAERS system. There's only 6 Novavax deaths in the entire VAERS system. And you showed the number with the other products. There's over 37,000. So, we have many questions. Why is Novavax being singled out by the FDA for this pause? Now, 6 deaths, Novavax should be off the market. I'm not saying that people should start taking it tomorrow, but why this double standard? Why did the agency push Pfizer, Moderna preferentially over the other products? We believe it's probably due to a marketing firm called Weber Shandwick, which has contracts with Pfizer, Moderna, and they have an installed promotional office in the CDC center in Atlanta.
Wait, they have an office? They have their very own office in the CDC, this PR company essentially?
Precisely. Weber Shandwick is promoting Pfizer, Moderna to the CDC, and they turn around and promote Pfizer, Moderna to the public. On top of that, the US government co-owns the royalty rights to the Moderna vaccine. So our government is in wide open corruption practices with preferentially messenger RNA vaccine companies.
Well, and I want to ask you specifically about the difference in technology, because I get the money part too. I definitely get that. I get the fact that you have this kind of corporate interest, you will say. You have this corporate relationship with this particular public relations firm. But is it also just that they want to introduce more mRNA into the population? Because how I understand it, Novavax is not an mRNA platform, right? It's more of a traditional vector. Okay. So can you just kind of expound on that a little bit? Because that was that's what immediately hit me.
There was a paper published by Lalani, British Medical Journal, that outlines the fact that U.S. government and governments all over the world and biotech companies have had a love affair with messenger RNA, investing billions of dollars in this technology since 1985. So it's a pipe dream to design any protein that one wants to design on a computer screen, rapidly make the messenger RNA code, and then quickly inject it into humans to get that protein. And so this is, in a sense, a molecular biologist's dream to be able to do this rapidly. Do you know, since 2022 and beyond, the Moderna and Pfizer messenger RNA boosters were never even tested on humans. They were drawn up on computer screens and they injected into animals just to see if it can raise antibodies, and they were released into humans. So now this is biotechnology, gone wild, and we can't control the amount of protein the messenger RNA makes or the duration. And now we're finding out that it expresses foreign proteins on cell surfaces, makes a dozen or more unintended proteins called frame-shifted proteins, causes blood clots, heart damage, autoimmunity. This is probably going to happen with all the messenger RNA vaccines.
That's really scary to think about, Dr. McCullough, especially as they continue to invest in this. And obviously, this is the preferred technology. They do. They have an obvious love affair with mRNA. I feel like I know why. I mean, what do you think is the basis of this love affair? Why do they want everyone injected with mRNA?
And it's not just one injection. The current CDC guidance is to keep taking these. No matter how many times you get COVID, just take more injections. Even though the products only work for a few months, just take it annually, almost like a good luck charm, like a talisman. This is basically become a religious belief. Vaccinology is like an ideology, and they're taken on faith. There's no concern with respect to safety whatsoever. The genetic material appears to be long-lasting, accumulating in the human body, causing all kinds of side effects. The government is working hand in glove with these industries and non-governmental organizations. This looks to be a $1 trillion activity worldwide.
I mean, it's just, I think people have gotten complacent thinking that maybe we got through it and it's over, but this just proves that it's not, right? The fact that they're going to pull off this combo vaccine, and obviously it's to give, preferential treatment to the mRNA. And they're still very invested in mRNA technology and getting everybody, including you and I, who have not been, I've not been jabbed with it. I want to ask you, Dr. McCullough, because you're so good at seeing what we've not noticed yet or something that's on the horizon. Is there anything else that my audience and I need to be on the lookout for?
World Health Organization has Agenda 2030, and their goal is to introduce 500 human vaccines in the next 5 years. The World Health Organization is a vaccine promoting organization. There's over 1,000 clinical trials of vaccines going on right now. It's almost as if modern day medicine has gone into vaccine mania. We're hearing vaccines for every infectious disease possible, for cancers, other conditions. Pregnant women are now being given vaccines at any trimester during pregnancy. We've never seen this before. Respiratory syncytial virus, in a paper by Marchand and myself, is causing premature delivery in women as they take it in the third trimester, and they're taking the RSV vaccine only for theoretical benefit of the baby born. So you can see that this vaccination has turned to sheer madness. People are being harmed. The only thing we can do now is just give a full stop to this and let us start to pick up the pieces of who's been damaged by these.
Yeah, I really hope we can finally get some courageous government officials that will just say in the state level, local level, and then hopefully, God willing, November 5th at the federal level. Thank you so much, Dr. McCullough, for joining us today. And if you are someone who took the jab and you're concerned, you can always go to twc.health and learn about the options of the products they've developed to help you fight the adverse effects of the jab. Thank you so much, Dr. McCullough. It's always great to see you.
Thank you.